live.
Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to, what am I going to call this? I'm going to call this the Knicks Evening Vibe Preview Show. You're going to go there.
Some random Knick show.
Oh boy. So unfortunately I thought I was up for calls and it just didn't work out. The system didn't work out. So my apologies. I was really interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Maybe I'll just drop the link and then whoever wants to come on for a minute or two and just give their thoughts on their series, you can. You don't have to be on video. You can conceal your video and just be audio only. It does give you that that option. But before we get into the Boston series, Ajay, first, how are you?
Queen, good evening. It's a great Sunday. We didn't,
Right.
we didn't have a game yesterday. I'm glad we didn't have a game yesterday because we took care of business game 6.
Yes, we
And
did.
I enjoy watching the other teams. There's a couple of games going on today that I look forward to. I see the Pacers giving, really putting it on Cleveland at this point. So we don't know how that's going to end. And then tonight's game 7, do or die, the Houston Rockets against Golden State Warriors. That's going to be a bloodbath. So looking forward to that as well, while getting ready for the Knicks play tomorrow.
Yeah, believe it or not, I have not watched one other playoff game other than the Knicks. So yeah, I'm gonna particularly watch the Houston Golden
Yeah.
State game, the wily veterans against the up and coming new team in Houston. So yeah. Anyway, before we get into this Boston series, kind of previewing it, anything you want to say about that Detroit series before we pivot?
Queen,
Particularly game 6?
Yeah, the Detroit series the whole series was a lot harder than I anticipated it to be. Not that I underestimated the Detroit Pistons, but and I don't think I overestimated the experience, the playoff experience part, because it turned out to be exactly that. That's what won us the series in part. But it's just I mean, listen, you got to give it to those guys in Detroit, because they, JB Bickerstaff, he's done a tremendous job with that team. You got to remember last season that team it was the worst, was one of the worst teams in NBA history, right? And then they came back this season, ended up 6th seed and giving us hell. I mean, we took care of business in 6, but it was every game was close, all but one game. Everything else was very close games. So
Right.
it was, listen, it was a good, hard-fought series. Certain things went our way, certain things didn't go our way. Calls went our way, some didn't go our way, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's just how the NBA is. Sometimes they get calls, they miss calls. People make plays. It literally take a split second of an error of a split second could literally determine the outcome of a game or of a whole series. So, and that's what this was. It reminded me of.
I don't think that's hyperbole.
No.
I don't think that's
real.
hyperbole.
That's real.
You can make a mistake in the first quarter and it comes back to bite you, and people are like, "Come on, relax. You got all game to make that up." Sometimes.
No. Sometimes it doesn't. And before we get, I'm going to go to a sequence of things that happen in at the end of game 6, where exactly what we're talking about, Queen. I call it a series. Like, there was a movie called A Series of Unfortunate Events. This is just a series of mostly fortunate events that happen for the New York Knicks. Not all great, but some of them, kind of determine the outcome of the series, and nobody's talking about it. And I don't blame people, because when you have to watch the game a few times. Like, obviously we had a lot of days off, Queen, so you know what that means. That means I watched that game like 4 or 5 times, because I'm just reliving the moment, especially because we won. If we didn't win, I would have deleted that file and be like, you know what, I'm done. But I had to go back and watch that again and again and again. And there are a lot of things that happen in the last few minutes of the game that completely changed everything. And that's where you see a little bit of luck, talent, experience, lack of experience on their side. Coaches' decisions are vital in some of these sequences. And we talk about Tibbs all the time, but there are certain things that other coaches do too that favor us, and we don't even talk about it. So it's not a matter of being out coached. It's just like in the moment, the coaches, they make decisions based on certain things, based on um analytics, right? So and a lot of that, like, it makes sense. It just doesn't work out the way they intended all the
Right.
times. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you want to say something real quick, but I could pull up, and I think the easiest way to do this is like not video, because we don't have at least I don't have it here, like, to go back and forth and circle and do all that stuff live, but I could show you pictures that show you exactly what I'm talking about, um, in the moment. So I don't know if you have anything you want to add while I'm pulling this up.
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was a hard fought series. I don't know if it was harder than I thought it would be. I just think that the regular season and the playoffs is just totally different. And I think we going with our expectations that, oh, talent wise, this should be an easy breezy series, and teams raise their level of play. There's an increase in urgency all around. Um,
Mhm.
we didn't play to the best of our ability offensively, but I do think Detroit had something to do with it
Right,
as well.
right. So it's not that we didn't play. It's like they gave us hell. I mean, they played tremendous defense throughout the entire series. Listen, you got to get Queen. You know, I don't want to say by the skin of our teeth, but we did escape that one, because you got to remember, Detroit Piston, they're missing a lot of players. Not a lot of players. They're
Two
missing
players,
two vital players,
two
two
key
players.
players. Yeah.
Exactly. Two key players. Okay. Um, so there's a few things that happen, right? And I want to go through these real quick. Queen, I actually wrote some notes, man. I actually prepared for this show. Can
Yeah.
you believe
Step
this?
quickly,
Oh my,
quickly, because people have come in
no,
here to get the Boston preview. So yeah, just
I know,
quickly
I
kind of
know, quickly.
go through it.
So one thing that went our way is, for some strange reason, right as soon as we passed the 4 minute mark, Bickerstaff, he took out, they were up by 5 points. JB Bickerstaff, he substituted Dennis Schroeder um for Thompson, because they were up by 5, but he was nervous about the Brunson burner, because Brunson has a habit of, at the end of the game, he goes on a scoring spree. So he wasn't comfortable with just a 5 point lead. So he inserted Dennis Schroeder to build up on that lead, right? So it's not crazy. It makes sense, but it didn't work out for them. Okay.
Right.
So Dennis Schroeder made two, one terrible blunder, and another one, he played good defense, but somehow. So the first blunder is when he tried to draw that offensive foul where he put his face in Jalen Brunson's way. Brunson scored and got the N1. They challenged that. They didn't get it. The second one is what you're looking at on the screen. Okay. Jalen Brunson was completely, like Clyde liked to say, fumbling, bumbling, completely out of, like, all over the place. And Dennis Schroeder played great defense, but Brunson was not going to be denied. I mean, look at Brunson here. How does he not fall? Somebody please call Neil deGrasse Tyson. Have him explain the physics of how in this frame Jalen Brunson's not on the floor. He's on 1 foot. His center of gravity already passed the tipping point, and somehow he finds himself in a sitting position, sitting on air, and then find the strength in his legs to squat back up, and then get the shot up and scored on Dennis Schroeder. So that was an amazing play. Then we go on the other end. Cat steals the inbound play, right? Scores, and that was very important, because they go on the other end. They didn't score. Cade Cunningham overshot. Ball went out of bound, and inbound. Cat steals it, comes in. He gets hard fouled by Jalen Durant. He makes the first free throw, missed the second one, but it kissed the rim and came back towards him. So he went in for the rebound. He got the
Right.
rebound, tossed it to OG Anunoby, who um, Thompson dislodged it from OG, and then the ball ended up in Tobias Harris' hands, who, but at that time, Jalen Duren was on the floor, and Tobias Harris tripped over Duren, and he fell out of bounds with the ball. So that gave the Knicks the ball back, right?
Right.
But unfortunately, with that defensive play, we didn't score on that play. So that was great movement, but we didn't get anything out of it. All right. This, if you look at this shot,
Right.
it kind of looks like Brunson got fouled, but they didn't call it. But that's besides the point. He might not have gotten fouled, because you got to remember, Jalen Brunson shoots with the left hand, so that means the ball was probably on the left. So even though he's got arm, he hit Brunson's arm, as you can see in this picture, but maybe he got the ball first. Okay, so you can't really tell on this large frame, but on this one you see that he clearly hits his arm. So was it a great defensive play? I don't know, but he gets a lot of credit for it, right? And then something great happened, Queen. Cat got fouled out. Why do I say that's great? Is because Cat, he went out with a bang. He did a couple of great plays, and when he get fouled out, now Tibbs, who, we're on offense, we trying to, typically he would have never put Mitchell Robinson there, because we're trying to score points, right? But he had no choice. Cat got fouled out. Mitch did two great things when he came in, right? You see this? This is the play where Mikal Bridges got that tip in, right? Now, what do you see when Brunson's releasing the ball, right? You see Jalen Duren is fighting with Mitchell Robinson under the basket. Duren has good position. Right there, that rebound would have been Jalen Duren. But because Mitch continues to fight, Mitch is out of bounds. But because he continues to fight for the rebound, by the time the shot went up, look at how far they are from the basket. Duren's not even looking at the basket. He has no idea there's a rebound to be had, right? That's because Mitchell Robinson is such a great offensive rebounder. Jalen Duren, his preoccupation was only to stop Mitchell Robinson from getting the rebound. Had that been Cat, we probably don't get that rebound, because Duren's right there under the basket waiting for the possible rebound. Okay. And I don't know if Cat would be under the basket fighting with Duren that much, because that's not his forte. He's a great rebounder, don't get me wrong, but this is Mitch's specialty. You know what I'm saying? So, and this is another shot to show you how far Mitchell Robinson and Jalen Duren's under the basket, away from the basket, when it's wide open for Mikal Bridges to score. On this one, you don't even see them in the frame. That's how far they were fighting. They were struggling, fighting for position. So shout out to Mitch. He doesn't get credit for this. Nobody talks about Mitchell Robinson on this one, but all that was made possible mostly because of him. Another reason why it was made possible is because, when they switched over, when Dennis Schroeder switched over to Brunson, you see where Thompson is. He's not even looking at Mikal Bridges, because his primary assignment is Jalen Brunson. So when they switch, he's still thinking of doubling Brunson, not paying attention to Mikal Bridges, who happened to be wide open to the basket for the tip in, because everybody else is preoccupied with something else. Okay.
Right.
So people talk about the tip, but they don't talk about the other stuff that leads to the tip. And the last thing I want to bring, Queen, is two more things. I'll do it real quick. When Cat fouled out, they brought Mitchell Robinson, right? I want to bring your attention to Mitchell Robinson's pick and roll defense. Look at the left arm. You know what that left arm is doing there? It's preventing that bounce pass to Jalen Duren. Because if he gets that bounce pass, it's a straight shot to the basket and possibly an N1, because I'm sure Hart would foul him. Okay, there's no stopping him if he gets that bounce pass. It's a clear lane to the basket. But Mitch, he's got his left hand down and the right hand in a position ready to go up, also preventing the possible lob to Jalen Duren. Okay, so he's literally playing the role of two defenders, and you still got OG Anunoby chasing Cade. So these two guys are guarding Cade. It's like he had three defenders on him. And when you look at the next shot, who do you see contest that shot? Is Mitchell Robinson. So Cade Cunningham was right at the basket, and he missed the shot completely. And who the rebound, of course, it's a combination of a lucky bounce too hard. And the other reason why it went too hard is because Jalen Duren at that point, he doesn't know if he should still expect a lob or if he should be expecting a rebound. So he wasn't in full in position to really take everything that comes off the basket. So it leaves a little angle for Josh Hart to grab the rebound. Of course, that's the element of luck right there. It kissed the right side of the basket of the rim, and then it landed in Josh Hart's hand, right? Now, the last thing I want to bring is the last sequence, our defense was terrible. And here's why. So when this sequence started, Queen, um, Josh Hart was actually on Malik Beasley. Okay, they switched over. There's a mess. There's a melee going on, and then Mikal Bridges ended up on um, Malik Beasley. Right? You see him holding Malik Beasley there, right? That's his man. Okay, here's another shot. Bridges on Malik Beasley. That's after the switch. That's your assignment. Look at what happened when the ball goes to Malik Beasley. Look at how far from Malik Beasley. How far to the left? Mikal Bridges almost at half court. That was terrible defense by Mikal Bridges. Luckily, Malik Beasley, he fumbled the ball. By the time he fumbled the ball, you don't even see Mikal Bridges in the frame anymore. So it started here, and then he ended up all the way over there. That's terrible defense. Like I think he went for a steal that he was never gonna get because Cade had the ball in his hand. So it's not like it was passed. It was, he had the ball, so he went to try to dislodge the ball. It's like something he literally had no chance of being successful at. But that was terrible defense there by Mikal Bridges. So I wanted to bring that up. Like if I am the coaching staff, I'm bringing this up, and I'm explaining to Mikal Bridges like stuff like that can't happen, because if he didn't fumble the ball, he would have had a chance. I mean, he had plenty of time to launch a three-pointer, right? And possibly get fouled by Hart, because Hart was going at him. So that terrible defense, if I'm coaching staff, I'm like, dude, that can't be happening. Stay with your guy. Okay.
Right.
But a lot of little things happen. And, Cat, he went out with a bang, but him getting fouled out was a great thing that happened in the last couple of sequences because of what Mitchell Robinson's role on defense played. But because we were down, Mitchell Robinson would never have been on the court if Cat didn't get fouled out, because we were looking for offense at that point. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to bring that up. In the last 2 minutes, there's a lot of things happened in the last couple of minutes in that game, for the Knicks to win. And I just wanted to bring that up, man. It's just, but you don't see this because, when you watch the game, even you have to watch it a couple of times and really get into it, be like, what went right and what went wrong, so we could hopefully repeat what went right and avoid repeating what went wrong. Of course, that last shot was like an amazing shot, like an amazing stopping on the dime dribble between the legs, and Asar Thompson completely out of the frame. You're like, what happened to Asar? Like, he's completely gone. And then, but he's a great defender, Queen, because you see,
No doubt about it.
He still managed to get back and contest that three-pointer, man. That was amazing because he was completely gone, but he still managed to get back and contest that three-pointer. So shout out to him.
For sure.
For
Shout out to him. Shout out to the Knicks for closing it out. And I appreciate you for that in-depth view. Now we're going to move on to the next series, but I guess the question is to kind of bridge the gap between Detroit and Boston series is, what did you see in this series that either encouraged you and or concerned you about the Knicks going into the series with Boston? Give me 1 second. I think for me, I think what I'm concerned about, what I saw in the Detroit series that I'm concerned about going into Boston, is just how stagnant our offense was at time. Just too much dribbling by Jalen Brunson that I think, it's just not going to fly in Boston. They just have too many good defenders. And you want to make them work as much as possible. And when JB has the ball, first of all, they don't even need to double. They don't need to crowd. They could play JB one-on-one with Drew Holiday, though Drew has been hurt. I think he missed the last 3 games in that Boston series. They've been off for a bit, so he might be fine. He had a hamstring injury. Those things can linger. Or they can play him with Derek White. So I am concerned about the times in which we kind of help an already good defense. By the way, I think they're number 3 in the playoffs. I think that a lot of that has something to do with playing Orlando. Like we're number 5 in defense of the 16 things. I think Boston playing Detroit, who's not a offensive juggernaut, has something to do with that. But I am concerned about the offense. I'm concerned about not going to Cat enough. And this is the thing. It's not going to Cat enough, but it's also Cat being aggressive and calling for the ball and getting position, clearly establishing position. Because this is the thing. It's not just about getting Cat however many shots against their smaller guys. It's about doing it enough that they change their strategy. Because teams are content with Cat scoring 18 points in the post. Like that doesn't hurt them. He has 18 points, so what? Everybody stay home. We're gonna play him one-on-one. If he takes it, if he's taking turnaround jumpers and he's hitting them, so what? Like that doesn't really hurt them. Now, if he's getting fouled also, and the Knicks keep going and keep going and keep going, and it looks like, wow, he about to score 30 if we don't do anything. Now they're forced to put a big on him. So now if that big was playing Josh Hart, now Towns can move to the top of the key, pull their big to the top of the key. Now we're operating with a bit more space. Um, behind Cat. But you have to force them to do that. And we talk about Josh Hart a lot. Oh, Josh Hart is his poor shooting, which is why they're putting a big on him. And there's some truth to that. But the other flip side of that is we don't punish their small on Cat enough to make them come out of the defense and put that big on Cat. So that's another concern I have. And then of course the lack of bench play, which is twofold. Tibbs just getting back to trusting Precious. I don't know if it was a trust issue with Precious, um, but getting back to trusting Shamit, who got some minutes early and then as time went on didn't get any. So that's part of it. And I think the other part of it is just getting good performance in the minutes you do get, getting good performance, and that's particularly, from Miles McBride. So I'll just start with my concerns based on what I've seen with Detroit. I'll turn it over to you, Ajay, and then I'll talk about what I've seen positively for the Knicks in this series that I think is going to bode well for us next series. Shout out to the chat, by the way. If you weren't here from the beginning, uh, you know that I'm again having some issues, and so I'm not going to be able to take calls. But let me drop the link for anybody who wants to, when we get to that segment, anybody who wants to pop on. You could even do audio only, and answer the question I'm going to ask later in the show. Feel free to do so. Um, any concerns from what you've seen in Detroit that you're concerned about going into this Boston series?
Well, not necessarily stuff I've seen in Detroit, but stuff I've seen all season long.
Okay,
And
fair,
you know,
fair.
we so Detroit is completely different than Boston. It's two completely. It's going to be a completely different ball game, completely different series. So the concerns in Detroit are not going to be the same concerns in Boston. Okay. Um, what the problem with Boston? I mean, listen, we all know Boston's have more is probably a more talented team than we are. They have a deeper bench, but that deeper bench, I think, is one of the main concerns. I mean, listen, the first five, they still have an advantage in the first five, but they have a wider gap of an advantage in the next three or four. coming off the bench, and
Compared to us, compared to our
compared to
three.
us. Right. Like let's say we play 5-on-5, they're gonna beat us, but it's not gonna be a blowout. But when you put in the bench, the blowout happens. Okay, because we just don't have the personnel to match up with what they have coming off the bench, and that's my main concern. So, the Knicks, the Knicks would have to play like a perfect series. Like every second, every possession has to be perfectly played in order for us to even have a chance. But we know that's not going to happen. We know how. Listen, we've been watching this team all season, so we know their flaws. We know they made a lot of blunders. Even when they don't make a lot, they do take care of the ball. But when you have a great defensive team like Boston Celtics, like this current Boston Celtics, it's not just gonna be taking care of the ball and preventing um um just turnovers, careless turnovers, right? Self-inflicted stuff. They will actually make you turn the ball over. Okay, so
So one
that
of your concerns is the bench play.
the bench play is the
I'm
main
trying to
concern.
be because I'm trying to be specific about it. So the bench play is one of your concerns, which
That's my main concern is the bench play.
that's your main concern.
The main concern because we don't have the bench. Okay, and the reason why it's the main concern is because we can't fix it. We cannot fix it. The other stuff we can try to fix. In terms of offense, we could try to feed Cat and Brunson goes on Brunson distribute the ball. Everybody gets shot. Everybody make their shot. Everybody play. Those things we can fix. I'm not saying we are, but it's there to be fixed. The bench we can't fix. That's why it's my main concern because we just don't have the personnel to fix it.
I mean, we can't fix the bench in the sense of bringing in somebody to help our bench. But do you think we can get better play from our bench?
Of course, we can get better play. We can get better play from our bench, but the better play from our bench compared to the play from their bench, I mean, that's what you have to compare it. And listen, nothing saying that our bench is going to be playing all straight up minutes with their bench, right? But it's going to be very close. So what's that going to do is when their bench play when their second unit come on, Queen, we're going to have to play our main guys a lot more to counteract their bench.
But I think
Okay.
that's the Knicks anyway. The Knicks play their guys a lot anyway. I don't even think it's going to be, we got to play them more to counteract the bench. The Knicks play their guys a lot, so they will be matched up a lot against their bench, and hopefully, we'll have an advantage there. But the Knicks are going to be playing starters are going to be playing close to 40 minutes, if not more, in this series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is my main concern is the bench, the bench play, because listen, we have good players. If Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Karl Anthony Towns are playing at their best, we're gonna be right there with the Boston Celtics. Okay, we're not gonna get blown out.
Yes, we're gonna definitely. Yeah. Save that to the end when we talk about what the Knicks have to do. What's their path to winning? Anything specifically Detroit? Anything positive that you saw from the Knicks in that Detroit series that makes you feel maybe a little more confident in the Knicks in this series than you did before the playoffs started?
Probably the best thing. I mean, it's not in this series. So our two. So of course we know Jalen Brunson's our best player, right? That's no questions, no argument. That's by far.
Be careful. David Smith gonna come right up in here. He gonna
No,
come right in
well,
here.
I mean, listen, it is what it is. We all know what we've seen on that screen in those 6 games, right? So yeah, Brunson he didn't have all great games, but he is our best player. Now, what I do see is that OG Ananobi, but so between OG, Cat, and Mikal Bridges, they could all be second best and very effective second best. Okay. Why is that encouraging? Is because so it's not like these guys suck. They can play because we have a couple of games where the second, I mean, game six, who was the second best player was Mikal Bridges, right? I mean, we've had games when OG Ananobi went off. So what that tells you is that those guys can actually, if we're clicking all cylinders and those guys all
Mhm.
playing their role that they're capable of playing, we have a shot at making this a really very interesting series against the Boston Celtics. Okay. And even Josh Hart, who's not a scorer, but when you least expected, he'll score 15, 17, 18 points and give you like, a double double. So if these guys play at their peak, Queen, we are going to have a chance against the Boston Celtics. Okay, I'm not with the crowd that says we don't have a chance or it's going to be a 4-1 or Boston's going to sweep. I don't think that's not going to happen. People need to stop looking at the regular season, and because we lost, because we went 0-4 against them in the regular season, think they're going to come here and sweep. We're not going to get swept. Okay, but there are going to be games where we have to play at our best. Like everybody's have to be on top of the game
Yeah.
for 48 minutes. If we do that, we will
Yeah.
have a chance.
Yeah. We'll definitely get into, what challenges Boston poses for us, and then also what we need to do to win this series. But getting back to the original question, what I would say is what I saw in that Detroit series that makes me feel a little better going into the series is just the physicality of the Knicks, the mental toughness of the Knicks, and the improved defense. Now, I'll start with the improved defense. Sometimes you can look improved depending on who you're playing, right? Detroit does not have the offense that Boston has. So Boston is going to present a totally different challenge for the Knicks defensively than Detroit did. And we'll get into that a little later. The mental toughness and how the Knicks were able to respond after losses, after tough losses, the way they went into Detroit and kept their crowd out of the game by getting off to a good start. Again, against Detroit. I liked seeing that. And also the physicality. Look, I don't expect Boston to be as physical as Detroit. And Boston is saying the same thing. They don't expect the Knicks to be as physical as Orlando was. But the point is, the Knicks rose to the challenge. I didn't think of the Knicks as a super physical team. But because Detroit was physical, the Knicks knew they had to match their physicality to have a chance, and they were able to do that. So those are the three things I'm taking, from that um, Detroit series. And I think I'll also add the play of Mikal Bridges. I thought, you know, none of our guys were perfect. None of our guys were perfect. But I thought throughout that series, Mikal Bridges was really, really good. So I feel good about him offensively and defensively going into this Boston series. What challenges does Boston pose for the Knicks? And then we'll get into what the Knicks can do to win the series. But what challenges do they pose for us? Well, shout out
So
to the chat. Let me just one
shout to
before I
the
even
chat.
get. Let me just shout out the the um the chat. What did somebody say? Let's see. Did I get it? Boston complained about the Magic being physical. Yeah, they did. Orlando started three players who are 6'10" and taller. Yeah, there are things that Orlando, and we'll get into that, did in that series that it's going to be hard for the Knicks to duplicate it, but they'll have to do it a different way. Yes, exactly. Walter White, Orlando is tough, but they struggled to score all season. So exactly. So they didn't they they created some defensive challenges for Boston, but on the offensive end, um, not not so much. Thank you for that. Nostalgic Nick Minute Police face guard KP. Really concerned about, I mean, he could definitely turn a series. Boston knows they can't sweep us. They are prepping for a tough series. They might be prepping, but when you look at the content creators, the Boston content creator, even the national media, I was reading a few articles, they have Boston in 5. You might have found a few people that had Boston in 6. Shout out to Sharice Duncan. I appreciate you rocking with us, sis. We need OG, Cat, and Bridges to at least average 20 in this series. And Sharice, I'm pretty sure you meant 20 each. I'm pretty sure you meant 20 each. Yeah, they're gonna have to be at their best. Curtis D. Young, Knicks have to be quicker in ball movement on defensive rotations and in chasing down loose balls. Listen, if it was up to me, the Knicks won't even be in rotation. And I'll talk about that later. At least in my opinion, what the Knicks need to do to to win this series, and part of it is just be in rotation as less as possible. But yeah, Ajay, what challenges, and for the chat too, what challenges does Boston pose um, for the Knicks?
And reminder to the chat that the Queen dropped the link in case you guys want to join in. It's almost like
Yes.
making a phone call, but you just go audio only. So we'll take in if you guys have something to say. Um,
Yeah, I'm gonna do
cha-
that now.
the challenges, Queen, is when Boston's when you play in Boston, everybody on the floor is a scorer. Every one of them can defend. Like almost every one of them are two-way players. So they're gonna make your life hard on the offensive end, but then on the defensive end, I mean it's tough all around. You know, it would take, like I said, tremendous or near perfect effort from the Knicks um for 48 minutes to win a game. It's not impossible. Those guys, they're basketball players. Yeah, everybody make mistake, but you just have to. There's very literally no margin of error when you play Boston. Like you can't
Facts.
mess up. Okay, so it's very challenging trying to guard those guys. And oh, to make matters worse, all their most of now I don't want to say all, but when they play you on defense, like everybody's switchable. So there's no drop coverage. There's like none of that stuff. Like you always have, and they like to play man to man. They don't double team. I don't know if they're gonna change and start double teaming Brunson and leave somebody else open. But the way they play is they play one-on-one defense. They switch it up, and whoever you end up with is gonna play great defense on you. Believe it or not. So my thing, the Knicks, maybe they will start looking for the Porzingis switch and put him on the island with Jalen Brunson. Hopefully he can get by. But then when you get by, you got the rest of the guys waiting for you on the other end. So it's gonna be tough because they play good defense and they're all great scorers. And like I said, even the guys coming off the bench, you got Pritchard, the 6 man of the year. He's not a hell of a scorer, but he's a very pesky defender. Like he will defend, like he's coming at you. Um, these guys, they don't leave room to breathe when they're playing you. So
Yeah,
it's going to be a
for
very
sure.
very very challenging series, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll give mine, and then we will get to and can Ajay, if you can drop the link, I can't seem to find it over here. Um, I think one of the challenges that they pose is they're not just a 3-point shooting team. Like they're not a team that they just have catch and shoot 3-point shooters. So if you cover them, you're good. Most of their 3-point shooters can also put the ball on the floor and attack a closeout and get into the key. And then if they get into the key, they can either take the shot, or if you rotate over, they can find the open shooter. Right. And I think that's what makes them um, really tough to beat. I'll get into that the other part. Let's just hope that Bridges and OG, if we decide that we're going to sell out for the 3-point line and not allow them to shoot threes, we have to now hope that OG and Mikal Bridges can hold their own one-on-one against Tatum and Jalen Brown, because they're going to be in isolation with nowhere to go with the ball if you're sold out to the 3-point shoot, and they can break their defender down, off the dribble. But if Bridges and OG can hold up, stay in front of them, and all night they have to shoot over the top, we have a really, really good chance. But that's the offensively, that's in my opinion, the challenge they pose. They not only hit threes, but they can put the ball on the floor and attack the closeout. And the Knicks have to be disciplined, because the Knicks just love to be in rotation. Love to be in rotation. I mean, somebody just fake that they're gonna put the ball on the floor, and here we come, sending two to the ball. That's just not gonna work. Against Boston. I think the other thing that poses a challenge for the Knicks is they have multiple players that they can put in pick and rolls to take advantage of either Brunson or Cat. And that's the challenge. And particularly with Cat, and we saw this, I don't know if it was the third game we played them, the fourth game we played. It could have been every game, but I really noticed it in one of those games where if Cat switched, and came up, um, to me, let's just say it was Tatum. Tatum was able to split him, get behind him for a mid-range or a dunk. A lot of times it was. And then if Cat was in drop coverage, then he would just pull up. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see how the Knicks play this, because they are going to put Cat in action in the pick and roll. So I think that poses a challenge for the Knicks, and Porzingis stretching the floor. Because what that does is that brings our big out to the 3-point line. And that creates a lot of space behind behind Porzingis, excuse me, behind Cat or Mitch, whoever's guarding him, to for them to operate. So I think that is that's a challenge. And if Mitch is playing Porzingis when he's in the game, that mitigates Mitch's, at least on the defensive end, that takes away the rim protection because he's out of the key. And that takes away defensive rebounding because he's out of the key if he's up there guarding Porzingis, and that's if he's in for Cat. If both of them are in, then you could put Cat up there. You could keep Mitchell Robinson down in rim protection position, but now they can use Mitchell Robinson's guy to kind of double off of him and make it difficult for Brunson. So they just pose a lot. This is a really bad matchup, in my opinion, for the Knicks. It's just a bad matchup for the Knicks, because there's so many things they can do. I still have the Knicks winning at least 2 games in this series. Wouldn't be surprised if they pushed it to 7, but they pose a lot of problems. Let me just get to
Super chat.
Yeah. Can you pull that up?
Yes, I can. You gonna read it or?
I think I got it. Let me see. I think I got it. Here we go. The Art Man, formerly known as Steve. I appreciate you, Steve. Always, always rocking with us. Thank you for the generous super chat. Knicks have to steal a game. On D, OG on Tatum, Mikal on Brown, Cat on White, Hart on Porzingis, and Brunson guards Holiday. KP usually has problems when guarded by a shorter defender because Boston will have Holiday on Cat. Exactly. I like that. And I said that in my notes. I'm like, let's do what they do to us. Put a small
We lost Queen. All right, so I think Queen was saying, let's do what they do to us. Put a smaller guy on Kristaps Porzingis, the same way they putting a small guy on Carl Anthony Towns. But as with the Detroit series,
All right, I'm
are you
back. Go
back?
ahead.
Okay, no, I was gonna say as with the Detroit series, I have a problem with the fact that Cat, like, he cannot win those matchup with smaller guards, well, with smaller guys, I should say. Right now, I don't know they're gonna be putting on Cat, but my guess is probably gonna be Tatum
Andrew Holiday,
and Drew Holiday, or
if
and
he's
slash
healthy.
or Drew
If he's
Holiday.
healthy.
Like, Queen, it's the
Mhm.
Knicks. He will be healthy to play the Knicks. You know how it goes. Broken leg, they'll come play the Knicks and go back, be out for the rest of the season. Um, but yeah, I don't disagree with you. Let's do the same thing we've done. But I would switch it up though on KP. Like, if I have Mitch, for some reason, man, I remember Mitch playing good defense on Kristaps Porzingis. Am I wrong on that? I remember him keeping him.
Say that again.
I for some reason I think Mitch plays good defense on KP,
It's
but
even if he does,
that takes him away
right,
from rim protection duty.
right, right. And if you have a double lineup and you put Mitch out there, um, and you have so now you have Towns at the four. Who is Towns guarding? Is he guarding Tatum? If they have Tatum, like when we go to our double big lineup and they have Tatum at the four, and now Towns has to guard Tatum, that's not a good matchup. If it's Horford, it's better. It's better. But if it's Tatum, and if I'm the coach, I'm putting into you want to go to your double big lineup? Okay, fine. I'm gonna put Porzingis out there and I'm gonna put Tatum at the four. And one of them is gonna have to guard him.
Right.
Yeah. Um, I think we have another super chat.
Do we?
I believe so. Or is that from the other?
No,
That
that's
was from
that's
the
from
other
Ed.
night.
No, I only see one from Edmund.
Okay. All right. But there was some other really good
Edmund Artman.
all right, man.
I said Edmund.
Nostalgic. Oh, nostalgic Nick Minute Police. KP isn't a threat on the paint. Yeah,
I,
I agree with you.
I don't agree. When he plays the
You don't
paint,
really?
no, he's got a short range. He's got a turnaround jump shot. He's got a short range, and he's obviously good for the putbacks. He prefers to play outside, but he's not. It's not like he's not a threat. If you put him in the paint and Cat's guarding him, or you have another smaller guy on him, he's gonna score at will. He has a turnaround.
Nah, I don't think so.
Oh my
He
Queen!
does. He does. He
He,
does.
he
But you
has the
know what?
turnaround jump shot. He
He
had that
does.
little
But
mid
if
range.
he does, if they put him down there, that's a win for the Knicks. Because that means that you're not stretching out our defense. You're not pulling our big out to the 3-point line. So if you want to put KP down, even if he scores over us, we're not losing the game because KP scored, I don't know, 14 points in the post. And that's what they're banking on with Towns. That's what they're banking on. Leave him down there. First of all, they don't go to him enough. He's not aggressive enough. So what? If he scores 18 points in the post, that's not going to hurt us. But if he's up top hitting threes and he's up top pulling our bigs out and they have all that space to cut behind her, that's going to hurt us. So let's see how it works out. But yes, can he score? Yeah. I just don't think that hurts us. Okay. Sherwin. KP shoots threes from 6 feet behind the 3-point line with Mitch. Yeah, I don't remember Mitch or Cat historically being good at guarding stretch fours, but um, the thing about Porzingis, unlike Horford, if you get out there, I don't see Porzingis putting the ball on the floor. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Whereas I've seen Horford, if you get too close to him, will put the ball on the floor and then draw a foul. All right. Okay. Did I put this up already? I know my condition. Did I?
No, you didn't. That's
Mitch played good defense on Tatum last game and blocked his 3-point shot. I'm not saying he didn't have good moments, but is that something you want to trust to just keep him out there on Tatum for how many possessions? Cat is the X factor.
Queen. So
Yeah, go ahead.
Walter White says, no, wait.
Put it up. You can
yeah,
put it up.
no, I was gonna put this one from Nostalgic Nick. He says Boston plays double big, and
They
I
do.
don't. They do. They do
They
that
do.
a lot.
They've done it more, I think, since the All-Star break, listening to the Boston content creators.
Do we try to match that up, or do we say, you know what, we're gonna play our game and try to jam the space with smaller guys on the?
See, the thing about um you can see I think you could guard Horford with OG at the 4. But if you want to go double big, you can. The thing with us going double big is I think it does help us defensively, particularly if you have Mitch guarding Horford. Particularly, well, it depends on where they are. They may have both of them. They might be 5 out,
Right.
and then that's more of a challenge. I haven't watched them enough to know when they do play both of them, where is one down low and one at the 3-point line, or both of them at the 3-point line. Like that part, I don't know. If both of them at the 3-point line, that creates problems for us if we try to match him. If there's one down low, yeah, I think you
Mhm.
could put Mitch there. That puts Mitch closer to the basket, like we talked about before, for rim protection. But then on the
Mhm.
offensive end, you could play off of Mitch just like you could play off of Hart
Mhm.
and make it difficult for Brunson. But yeah, I think we will see that.
It's gonna be a series, man. It's gonna be
Yeah,
something.
for sure. This is the last question. Did you drop the link?
Yeah, you drop it
Okay.
again.
Yeah, drop it again. Because this is the question where I'm really interested. Um, is what is our De La Cruz said he will be in the building game 1 to get the series started with a game 1 victory. I mean, the Knicks won 3 on the road, so in terms of what it takes to win on the road and mentally, I think they have that. Um,
Hopefully, the crowd start chanting "flopper, flopper" to get Brunson going.
Yeah, thank you, Nostalgic Nick. Minute Police. Cornette has played very well for them um, this season. Yeah, yeah. Can you not? Oh, you know what? Not come in and spam the chat, please. Um,
Who's that?
I don't know. I took it out. Okay. What is the Knicks' path to winning the series? Sharon, Walter White, Wonder Woman. Who else is in here? R. De La Cruz, Jerrell in the building, Nostalgic Nick, Minute Police.
Jerrell.
What is the Knicks' path to winning this series? I think we all agree that Boston is the favorite. I think we all agree that they pose some challenges.
You lost Queen.
Yeah.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
back. You're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
You're good. You're back.
Yeah, this is how you play the game. What's the Knicks' path to winning the series, Ajay?
Queen, we remember that the that's good. That's gonna be tough, man. The like I said in the beginning, we have to play flawless games from tip off to to buzzer, to the final, to the last second. We have to play flawless basketball. Um, we have to. Boston is not as physical as Detroit, but we have to go in Boston with the same physical mindset that we were coming off the last series with the Detroit Pistons to give us some sort of edge. Um, it's we just have to play defense. We have to play tough defense. Do not lose sight of your man. Like, try not to double team as much as possible, because anyhow you double team, you leave somebody open for the three, they will make you pay. That's what Boston Celtics do. That's how they win games. They make you pay for leaving guys open for the three-pointer. They're an excellent three-point shooting team. Excellent. So, Nostalgic Nick said, attack Tatum. That could be something. And listen, we don't know what the injury report says, but Jaylen Brown, I thought, had some something going on with him. Okay. And we cannot afford, I should say, to have games where guys are not hitting their shots. Okay. We were able to literally escape Detroit with like every couple of games, like every game, like somebody was not hitting their shots. We can't do that with Boston, man. Boston's different. I mean, it's just different. You have to be on top of your game at all time. Otherwise, you're just not going to win. The only way to beat him is to be on top of your game at all times. So you have to play flawless games. I don't know how we're going to manage to do that, but that's what we're going to have to do to beat him. There's a very, very small margin of error when you play Boston. Very small. We made a lot of mistakes in Detroit, but we were able to get out of there, to get out of the series. Very close games. Didn't need to be that close, but it was close because we made a lot of mistakes. Those mistakes with Boston, you're not going to come out of there with a dub. You're just not going to win. They have too many weapons, too many options to throw at you to make it difficult for you to win. And they have a really deep bench, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Well, I got five. I got five keys to the Knicks winning this series. One of them is you have to play Tatum and Brown straight up. Keep them in front, live with them shooting over the top. And you got to cover the 3-point. Like, we have to significantly limit the number of times that we are in rotation. Like, we cannot leave 3-point shooters open. And what happens is they get past one of our guys, we double team. Now we're in rotation and we're scrambling to cover the shooters because they pass the ball very quick. I'm not saying we're Orlando, but Orlando did a really good job of limiting their 3-point attempts. I think they shot 48 3-pointers in the regular season, and in that series they shot 30 to 32 threes. Like Orlando just sold out as far as not the 3-point shot, but Boston proved that they can win other ways, and so if we do that, and Tatum can go ISO, Brown can go ISO, you can't be in rotation. You got an OG and Mikal Bridges, keep them in front of you, let them let them shoot over the top, and if they make it, they make it.
Yep.
I think two, Towns has to make them pay for putting a small on him. I mean, make them pay. They're fine with that. Like, he has to make them pay to the point where they come out of whatever they're doing.
That they changed their strategy.
Uh-oh. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. I can hear you, Queen.
Did I go out again?
You went out briefly, but you're good. Like, no, right now there's no video, but we can hear you.
Did I go out again?
You're good. You're fine. We can hear you.
Did I go out for a little bit? I'm good. Oh, okay. Okay. Let me see. Because I had to write this down. Yeah. Towns has to make them pay. It's not enough for Towns to just score. He has to make them pay to the point where they say, you know what? We got to change our strategy and we got to put a big on him. Right. So I think that's a key to it. And I think Bridges and OG have to be two-way stars. It's just not enough for them to play good defense on Tatum and Brown. They have to score also because points are going to be at a premium in this series. And also you want to make them work. You want to make Tatum and Tatum and Brown, whoever's guarding those two, you want to make the defender work. Ball, I think McBride and Mitch have to star in their roles. Whatever you do, you have to star in your role. And hopefully we can find one other person off that bench that can have, if not a consistent performance throughout this series, can you give us a good game or two? And then my last pass is one of the Boston players get hurt. I know, I know, but I just think that'll help. That'll help. I'm not saying like severely hurt, but hey,
ain't no shame in the game. You know.
Oh boy, we have another super chat, and then I'm gonna get to some more from the chat in terms of what they think. Okay, go ahead.
Danny, shout to Danny Thomas. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Says, I say start Mitch and play Precious. I think we need to hit. I think we need to hit our shots. The bench needs to score.
I can't say I disagree. I think I forgot what show I was on, and I said I think this is more of a Precious series than a Mitch series because I think they're going to mitigate Mitch effectiveness anyway by pulling him away from the basket. I do think on the offensive end, he could still give us second chance opportunities, particularly if they're not going to put a body on him and they're going to be crowding and roaming. Need to crowd Brunson. They may just play him one-on-one as well and live with the and live with the results. But I wouldn't be mad if this was a Precious series. I don't know about starting, but I wouldn't be surprised if Precious got more minutes in this series.
But he also says the bench needs to score. And I mean, that's going to be critical. Like Deuce got to come out of his funk. And hopefully we see some Shamet, with the, hopefully gives us a couple of accidental threes to help mitigate what Peyton Pritchard's doing. That's a clear advantage, Boston, there on the bench. But our guys is just going to have to be at their best. Yeah, the bench really needs to score more. And the more they score, I think the probably more Tibbs will give him minutes to play, which should work out in our favor. So if they come in and they produce,
you got like when he put you in though, you got to hit a shot in that little 2-minute window that you get to get another chance.
Right. And that shot gives you another chance, The first one you miss, you're out. So they just going to have to be on top of the game. Queen, a quick update, man. The Pacers are going to take game 1 from Cleveland, man. You heard me, Queen?
No, can you say that again?
No, I said the Pacers are taking game 1 from Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah, I saw that. And that's what I said. I said, I've seen, listen, this series is far from over. Just because they won the first game doesn't mean, lost the first game doesn't mean they're going to series. But I will say, I've seen teams have spectacular regular seasons and lose in the first or second round in the playoffs. It happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we can do the same thing tomorrow. We could steal game one tomorrow at the fake garden.
All right. Predictions before my internet just crashed and burned during the show.
Listen, man, I it's gonna be tough to predict. I'm not gonna bet against the Knicks, so I'm not gonna do that. But I think we steal one game between game one and two. I think when we go 1-for-1, when we come back in the garden, we're tied 1-1. I think it's
Okay.
probably gonna give. I think it's probably gonna be the game tomorrow. We're gonna take from them. Um, but yeah, I think we're gonna come back to the Garden 1-1. So
Okay. All
I'll
right.
do to predict the first two. Then we go as we go along. We'll do more prediction. But I'll keep it short right now.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's gonna be 1-1 when we come back here.
Yeah. I think I think Boston wins in 6. I think the Knicks get 2 games, and I would not be surprised if they. I wouldn't be shocked, I should say, if they um, force a game 7. That's what my heart is saying, that the Knicks are going to force a game 7. Um, but I wouldn't be surprised if they lost in 5. I wouldn't be surprised. I would be disappointed, but I wouldn't be surprised. I would be shocked if the Knicks get swept in this series. I would be absolutely shocked if they, and I get it. I understand, they won all 4 games in the regular season. I get it. Um, but I would be shocked if they got saying. Um,
Yeah, I
Sharice
don't,
Duncan said, "Shock the world, Knicks. This is
I
why
don't.
we play the games, right? This is
Correct.
why
We're not
this is the Giants beat the 18-0 or 7, was it 16-0
16-0.
Patriots. This is why we play the game."
We're not. I don't think we're gonna get swept either. So
A Train, listen. Deuce doing bad then. Queen's internet better than Deuce right now. We need McBride. Deuce doing bad. if his performance is worse than this. Um, we will talk
yeah,
about that at the end of the year if they lose it. Well, if they lose at 5, are they competitive games? If they get swept, that's different. Okay. Nostalgic Nick, he definitely disagrees with my prediction. He says that
Knicks going to finals like that.
is it coming up? The Knicks are going to the finals. Okay. All right. Okay.
And Nostalgic also
I am.
said, Deuce got to be good this series, man. Listen, Deuce, I don't know how long Deuce's contract is, but he's playing for his career right now. Like, he's really got to come
Any
through.
last words?
Queen, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Sounds like a Verizon commercial. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Oh, so, but yeah, definitely Deuce. I feel like Deuce is playing for his career right now because he have a very small contract, and supposedly the next contract is gonna be dependent on how he performs with the Knicks. He's got, the Knicks got a really good deal on the Deuce McBride contract. So Deuce really needs to get his game going. It's very important that he comes through in the Boston Celtics series. So again, my prediction is when we come back to the Garden, to Madison Square Garden, that is, we're gonna be tied. The series is gonna be tied. I have a feeling we're gonna be taking Game 1 tomorrow night. Um, maybe Boston having so many days off is advantage Knicks, and we still got our momentum from playing from that Game 6, and maybe we could steal one tomorrow. So that's what I'm hoping for. I don't see the
Yeah.
Knicks getting swept, and just like you, Queen, I think it's probably going to be a 6 or 7 game series. And if it goes to
Yeah.
game 7, anything can happen. So let's see what happens. But right now, the first 2 games, my prediction is Knicks 1-1.
Yeah, just like I was like, if this Detroit series goes to 7, come on. Like it's like a toss-up game, you
Yeah,
know?
anything can happen. Same.
That was one thing I didn't want to happen. So
Yeah.
yeah. So
Right.
we'll see. Listen, chat, replay gang, those who are listening, I appreciate you hanging in there. I'll be back in New York Friday, but I still have Monday Queen's Court, Tuesday recap show, Thursday weekly show to still deal with this internet before I'm back in New York where the internet is super crispy. All right. You said your last words already?
Yes, I did. Knicks 1-1
right.
when they come back over here.
Yeah. All right. Should be a good one tomorrow. Take us out of here. Click the end button. And thank you for your analysis, Ajay, at the beginning of the show. We appreciate you.
Yeah. And last but not least, hit the like button on the way out. And thank you to the chat. Jerrell, why you not on here with us, Jerrell?
Jerrell said once a week. That's it.
That's it. All right, man. Thank you guys for hanging out with us, man. Catch you on the next one.
Yep.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
Where you at? Where you at?
Don't so.
What?
Don't so.
What?
You're